Hey everybody, this is the S1K Power Couple channel, and today we will be getting on some Samco silicone hoses for the cooling system on this beautiful bike, and we will try to show how it's done. For this job you basically need Torx and a set of pliers and a few extras that we will talk about later. And the first thing we will do is start by removing the fairings with the Torx. I think they are T25s, the cover, the seat, and we'll be right on it. So now we have loosened all the Torx on the upper fairings. There's also one Torx on the backside. You may note that that is a bit different. The outside fairing Torx, I don't know if you can see, has a collar on them, and the ones on the backside, they do not. So they are not interchangeable. You want to make sure that you get that thing right when you assemble the bike. What I like to do is always have a box for all the screws, so I don't lose them. It's very much easier if you like use your toolbox or have a little box to collect them. That way it's also easier to remember what's what. When all the Torx are off, the upper side fairings have a little clip on the back side which has to pop, so you just pull gently on it, and it's a little bit bigger one on the front side. You can see it down there, and you try to pull as close to it and firmly as possible. It's a bit easier if you have two hands, but I don't. On the back side here you will find the blinker. It's here, and you will make sure that you don't that you disconnect that and don't pull the wire. If you have a flathead screwdriver, you can just flip up there that clip and get it out. I can see if I can get it out without, if I just pull my nail under. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. You can see there is a bit of a notch there. So to remove the seat, the screws are hidden under here, and those screws you can just leave connected. Let me see here. So here you can see how they won't why they won't go anywhere. So when you remove the seat, you get access to another Torx, which is here, and the tank is secured with Torx in the front and just an ordinary bolt at the back. And when you have removed all the Torx for the airbox or ECU cover, you can just remove that, and you will see the tank has two breather hoses which has to be removed, which are just like slide on. So if you see here, this one, you can just slide it off like so, and the other one like so, and then we're ready to remove the tank. Again, this and this. I'm sorry, but I won't be able to show you just exactly how I disconnect the tank because I don't have enough hands to hold everything, but under it I think it's supposed to be two wires to the harness and one fuel supply line. When you disconnect the fuel, it should be self-sealing, so you shouldn't spill more than a couple of drops. So now all three bolts are removed, and we should be able to just lift it right up. So now we will start to drain the coolant. There is a coolant drain here, but the reason we didn't drain the coolant prior to everything is that now, after removing the fairings, we have access to the hose clamp here, which makes it possible to just remove the hose here. This will drain it more quickly, and we won't need a new gasket for the drain plug. So you can see how the stock hose clamps work. They are just a spring type steel clamp, and I don't think I will be able with just one hand here. I need a little bit bigger plier, I see, but I have that, and just force it together and it should come right off. So let's see here. This is first go here, no cheating. What you see on the film is what's actually happening. So with one hand I got the hose clamp here, and you wiggle it a bit back and forth because it has been sitting on for a few years, and it kind of like, I don't know the American word for it, but it kind of bonds to the rubber. So when it's loose, you just slide it onto the hose, and we will probably have to get a plier and play a bit with it. I will do that without filming and start up again when I remove it. So now I've massaged it so it's coming off all the way around, and what I do next is I take the radiator cap and open it, remove that, because then air would be allowed to come in from the top and let it drain more quickly. If you do not remove the radiator cap and uses only this screw here, you will get an airlock. It would stop dripping pretty fast because there would be under pressure at the top. So let's see if we can remove the hose air without spilling too much. I guess it will spill, but it's for you guys. So let's see here. There we go. Yes, there is no coolant left. So now the bike is drained. It doesn't take very long time when you disconnect one of the main hoses like that. When I do work like this, that I haven't done the exact same job before, I like to first take a little bit of an overview, and then you change one hose by one if you're not sure what's what. So you first remove one hose completely, compares to the other one, find the matching one, and assembling. Then you know everything is right. So just to get a quick overview, we see we have one hose here coming from the radiator, another one here which connects to here, a small one going here, an overflow pipe going here, and another main hose going here and into the engine here. So here the first one is removed, and I have, it's not a very difficult thing to do to find out what's what. See exactly the same, and what I do next is I attach the hose clamps, and I think a little bit about that before I do it, and try to think about where is the easiest place to get access to the screw. Now this would be here on this side, and on the top it would be, yeah, what would you say, a symmetrical mounting. Wow, that looks so cool. It's not only a performance upgrade, I must say the looks are very nice. Now when you tighten the hose clamps, I would recommend using a 7mm hex socket, because if you use a flathead screwdriver, if you think about it, when the screwdriver turns the screw, you only have 2 contact points, one up here and one down there. If you use a hex bit, you have 6 contact points, which makes it a lot more difficult to damage or destroy something. So therefore, if you have the opportunity, it would be also, it's a very smart thing to do. The hose clamps should be inside the collar here, and it should not be outside the end of the hose. So you should try to find the sweet spot in between there, because if the hose clamp is outside the edge, it would force the hose off, and if you're on the collar, all the force would be on top of that, and that makes a lot of stress on the hose, and in worst case, if there's a sharp collar, you could actually cut it. The hose clamp up here is fine, and down here you want to make sure that you don't come near the engine. That's generally all mounting, that you make sure that you don't hit anything. So here is what it looks like when it's finally assembled. If you see the collar here, the end of the hose here, the hose is all the way on and the clamp is right in the middle. That's a very good thing. Then you have like even distribution of the force of the clamp, so it will not pinch it, and it will hold it on. You can twist and turn the hose a bit to get the clearances you need. You don't want to touch it. You don't want it to touch sharp edges like this. So here we have about half a centimeter. Because of the angle, it looks a bit closer than it is. So it should clear. It's not touching here now. And the same on the bottom. This is, you can clearly see it's a very good, it's even better fit than the OEM stuff. So A+ so far. So then we have the last main one. And it's pretty easy to see how that goes. So it's like the stock one, and we start to do the same thinking. We want easy access for the hose clamp, so the first one should be like this, and the second one well, it would probably have to think if there's anything that needs to clear under the tank, and there should be no problem. So then I choose to put it on like this. Should be pretty easy access. This hose clamp I won't put on until I have the hose through, because the hole is quite small. Then we jump over to one of the smaller one, which is going from here over the engine, through the frame, and into the engine here. So now there's only one left, this one. And you can see it starts with a double bend, and you can see that it fits like so, and it goes over the engine and onto here. So in the end here, I discovered that there were actually 2 hoses left, one here, and which is like the overpressure and the overflow tubes, 2 of them, and there was only one Samco hose left. So I was thinking, am I missing something here? But it looks like they are the same same dimension, both of them. So, and this is longer, so this means I just remove the shortest one here first and measure it, cut the long one, and we should be good to go. So yeah, to remove this hose here, there are some one-time crimp or one-time use hose clamps, which you should have a specialty tool to remove. No, I don't have that, and what you need to do to make it or cut it or make it let go is to cut this ear on the top off. If you have a small Dremel with a grinder on it, like a very small one, you could cut it. I'm just gonna use one of my I don't know what it's called, and try to cut it off. This is gonna be a bit difficult because I don't want to use too much force on it, because this is plastic and it can snip off, so I'm gonna use both my hands and put my camera away. So that didn't take much more than 10 seconds to get off. These can be hard sometimes. What I did was I start cutting at the ear. Let me see, like so, like here. Just make a little nick to it. You can try here. You just make a little nick. And when you have a small nick like that, and if you have your tool is, if your tool is sharp, when you cut it this way, it will continue down the nick, so you will actually cut it. It's quite soft, so it will just go through. So when you have them off, it's time to drain the overflow tank, and this is just, it will come out of itself like so, and you can see you're draining your overflow. So when you have the hose here, the rest is pretty simple. I'm gonna use both my hands here. You just figure out how long you have, and the rest is the, I don't know what you would call it, spill tube. Yeah, and the last one, there is no hose clamp. That is if the engine runs too hot and it wants to spew out everything, it comes out here, and it's just slid on there. So that's about it. Everything is now on, and you put the bike reverse back together. First of all, you fill coolant as much as you can get into it, and then you fill up your overflow tank, and you bleed out the system. And it's 1,000 ways to do that. I usually try just to, when I have filled it up, I start up the engine, and see the level drops, and then I pour more in, and then somebody don't want to run the engine without the cap until or they run it with whatever coolant it is, and when the thermostat opens, you get full circulation in the system, and then you wait a bit and put it back on, or you can just run it and try to get all the air out without the cap. Make sure your engine do not get too hot. It is possible to get so much air in the system that your pump is only pumping air, and you have to do a little bit of trickery to get it right. You can just Google that and find what works best. Hope you enjoyed it, hope it was useful if you're gonna change the hoses. And one last top tip is that now you have great access to lubricate your clutch properly, which is always a good idea. to do, because then it's lasts a lot longer, and you have also access to clean up things a bit more before assembling. Goodbye.